So example 1.
You guys, we're recording.
Alright, what if I have, so the question is to solve. Now, last time we learned how to solve equations by adding and subtracting both sides by a number to undo what is being done to the x. So for example, right now, example 1, what if I have negative 4x equals to 1? Let me ask you this. What is this negative 4 doing to x? Raise your hand. Yes, sir.
Being multiplied.
Yes, x is being multiplied by negative 4. Now, how do I undo? Raise your hand. How do you raise your hand? Well, how do I undo this multiplication? Yes, Elena? Divide both sides by what? Negative 4. Is it enough to just do this? No. You have to do it to both sides. That's the inverse operation that we were talking about last time, right? How do you undo these, right? So, and the question I just heard is really good. Why is it negative 4, not 4? Is that the question? Why should I divide by negative 4? Samantha?
Because when you divide, it's different from like subtracting or addition, so you have to keep the same sign.
Yes. So when you're, in order to undo multiplying something by 4, you must divide by negative 4, not 4. The same number. You gotta, unlike the addition and subtraction that we talked about yesterday. So the reason is because, watch this. When you have this, you get, remember, how many times does negative 4 go into negative 4? Once. So that's why you get 1x. Does that make sense?
Yes.
They cancel out. The same number on top and the bottom, right? So you get 1x, which is equal to now, what is 1 over negative 4? Yes, sir?
1/5.
You could write it as a decimal. I like fractions. So just write it as a fraction. What would that be?
1.
Aaron? Negative 1/4 is correct. Because you know that negative could be right in the middle or on the top. Doesn't matter. So you get x equals to negative 1/4 is your answer. There's your solution. In other words, let me rewrite the original question again. It was negative 4 x equals to 1. So in other words, if I were to plug in negative 1/4 to in place of that x, I should get what, class? Yes, Robert. I should get 1. And let's check and see if it's right. How do we check these? So solving equation is kind of nice because you can always check and see if you got the right answer. How do we check and see if we got the right answer? Sydney?
You plug it in.
You plug it in. So when you plug in, what did I ask you to do? Use? Yes, sir? Parentheses. Thank you. And what goes in here, class? We found that x is negative 1/4. And let's see if this is true. How many people think that we get 1 on the left side? Raise your hand. Yes, we do, right? Because what's negative times negative? What is 4 really?
4 over 1.
So what do you get? You get positive 4 over 4, which is simply 1 equals 1. Is this true? Yeah. Of course 1 is equal to 1, right? 1 doesn't equal to 2, right? So 1 does equal to 1. Let's try example 2. Example 2 says x over 5 equals to negative 30. Now, what is being done to x in this case? Julia, what's happening to x? It's being divided by 5. So how do you undo something that's being divided by 5? What's the inverse operation for that? Eric? You multiply, right? What should we multiply by? 5, 6, or 7? 5, right? Same exact number. So it's x over 5. Remember, I want you to write 2 lines when you write these. Don't write the division bar. Don't use the slight slanted one. So I'm going to multiply both sides by 5 is correct. Now, is this okay to do just one side? No. Equation, remember equation, what an equation is, right? Left side is equal to the right side. So if you're going to multiply by 5 on the left side, you must also then multiply the 5 on the other side. Is correct. Okay, so when I do this, here 5 is really 5 over 1. And what happens with these 5s? Could we cross cancel? Yes, because are we multiplying these fractions? Yeah, remember I told you cross looks like multiplication symbol, right? So whenever you're multiplying fractions, you could cross cancel. Does that make sense? Yes? So Julia, what do I get on the left side? When I cross cancel like this, I get 1x, which is just x, equals to, let me switch the, equals to?
100, negative 150.
Okay, raise your hand. Yes? Negative. Now, why is it negative 150?
Because it's negative times positive.
That's right. It's negative times positive, so you get negative 150. Could we check and see if we got it right?
Yes.
Go ahead, everybody try. I'll give you some time. So how many people were able to check and see that it was correct? Very good. Who could help me how to do this? Who haven't I called today? I haven't called. Yeah, Sydney. Tell me what to do. I start with the original equation, right? Then what?
Instead of x, you put negative 150.
Yeah, instead of x, I put negative 150, of course, using parentheses, right? Negative 150 over 5. Now we want to see whether or not left side would equal to the right side, because if it isn't, then we haven't gotten the right answer. And does it become true? Does 5 go into negative 15?
Yes.
How many times?
30.
30. Okay. So yeah. Yeah, and it's negative because negative over positive is negative. And so, of course, negative 30 equals to negative 30, right? That checks. So we found the answer. Okay. Any question? So if you have time on the test and so forth, you should always check, right? Because whenever I give you equations, you should know for sure whether you got the right answer or not by just plugging it in and see if the left side see if the left side equals the right side. Okay. All right, good. Let's look at then example 3. Now this example 3 is, now before I do example 3, do you guys remember what a reciprocal was?
Yeah.
Good. So what's a reciprocal of 2/3? Okay, Ariel?
3 over 2.
Yeah, reciprocal of 2/3 is 3 over 2. All you have to do is change the numerator and the denominator. Robert, what about 1 over 7? What's the reciprocal of this one right here? 7 over 1, which is just 7. You could write 7 over 1 or 7. What about reciprocal of, I don't know, 5? How do you do 5? Because is 5 a fraction? You don't have numerator. Yes, it is a fraction. Okay, who? Yes, Jared? Yeah, it's really 5 over 1. So what's the reciprocal of 5? 1 over 5. Yes, you guys remember that? What about a number is negative, like negative 2/3? What's the reciprocal of negative 2/3? Let's see who remembers this. Celine?
Negative 0.
It is negative, still negative. Why? Who remembers the definition of a reciprocal? How do we, so this is a shortcut. You just change the numerator and the denominator, even if it's negative, doesn't matter. But how do we define reciprocals? What sort of nice thing does it do? One person, Nick? It allows you to? Yeah, so how do we define reciprocal? When you multiply a number, yeah. No one remembers? Why is reciprocal nice? What happens if you multiply the number times number
You always get 1.
times its reciprocal?
You always get 1.
There you go. It always equals to 1. Let's check. What's 2/3 times 3 over 2, guys? 1. That checks. What about 1/7 times 7 over 1? 1. What about 5 over 1 times 1 over 5?
1.
And do you see why it has to be, if the number is negative, what must the other number have to be in order to be positive 1? Negative also, and this is 3 over 2. Do you get 1 also?
Yes.
So reciprocal is when you multiply the number times its reciprocal, it always equals to 1. Okay, keep that in mind because we're going to need that to do the next example. Okay. So the reason why we did all that example with reciprocal is because if I give you something like this, solve 10 equals to negative 2 over 3x. Okay. It's very similar to what we just did before. How do I get the x by itself so that we could figure out which value of x makes the right side equal to 10? So first of all, what is happening to x? What did it do? Yes, it's being multiplied by 2/3, right? So guess what we're gonna have to do? Okay, Blake. Divide by, you're right. So let me rewrite this. X equals to negative 2 over 3. And Blake says, since x is being multiplied by negative 2/3, We need to then divide both sides by, so what number, class?
Negative
The same number that's multiplying the x, yeah, negative 2 over 3. Okay, so of course, same number over same number, we could cross cancel, right? So we just get, what do we get on the right side?
X.
1x. Now, what does this mean? 10 over negative 2/3. Emma, what does it mean to have 10 over negative 2/3 there? Yeah, this means 10 divided by negative 2/3. And this is why we need the reciprocal. You guys remember the rules for division? What's it mean to really divide by a fraction? It means to, yes. Yeah, when you divide, not just a fraction, when you divide a number by a number, division really means multiply by the reciprocal. Who could tell me what this then becomes? 10 times what? Raise your hand. Let's see. I haven't called on, how about Cami? What do you think? Say it again. Yeah, 10 times negative, I heard that one, 3 over 2. Do you see how I wrote the reciprocal of negative 2/3? You see why we need to talk about reciprocal, right? So, do we know how to multiply two fractions? How do we multiply two fractions? Well, do I have fractions, by the way? Is 10 fraction, really? Yes, it is. Brigetta, what is it? 10 over 1, yes. So how do we multiply fractions? Robert?
You want to change the, you want to cross cancel.
I want to cross cancel first because remember, cross cancel, cross means multiply, right? So what can I cross cancel? How do I? Yes, Ariel? 2 and 10. How many times does 2 go into 2? Once. What about 2 goes to 10? 5. So who could tell me the answer for this? Sydney? Yes, negative. So many people forget the negative, but it is negative. You see the negative right here? Don't forget that, okay? Because they get it equals to x. And there. And could I rewrite this as x equals to negative 15? Same thing, right? All right. Is there a way to check, Robert?
You want to do negative 2/3 times 15 over 1.
Exactly. So let's plug it in. We had the original question was 10 equals to negative 2 over 3x. And we set the x is got to be 15, negative 15. 10 equals to negative 2/3 times negative 15 over 1. Now, could we cross cancel here? Yes, we can. 3 goes into 15 how many times?
5.
But try write 5 or negative 5.
Negative.
Negative 5 is correct. So Dia, when I get right negative 5, what do I get? 10 equals to? What am I multiplying together? So what's left? After I cross cancel 3 and negative 15, I'm left with negative 2 over what? 1 times what? Negative 5 over 1. So what do we get? 10 equals to what's negative 2 times negative 5? Positive 10. And so it checks, right? It shows us that we got the right answer. Any question? So now that we talked about these problems, I'm going to give you some of these for you to try, okay? One. How about I give you something like n over 4 equals to, so of course try to solve everything, okay, solve. N over 4 equals to negative 2. Number 2, how about if I give you negative 3x equals to negative 9. Number 4, how about if I have here, I'm sorry? Is it? Oh, 1, 2, 4. I know. I think I know how to count. Sorry. Number 3. Thank you, Julia. Number 3. 12. Okay, thanks. That's good. Number 12 equals to negative 4/5 x and 4. There you go. 4. How about negative? And let me move this to the left a little bit. Oops. Well, what happened? Yeah, that's okay. I like that. Okay, that's okay. And then number 4. Let me write it over here.
Is 4 possible?
Yeah, negative 6 equals to 2 over 7x. There you go. It's kind of the corner. Go ahead, everybody try. Go ahead, everybody try. for number 1, who could help me here? Nine, what's being done to n right now? It's being divided by 4, right? So guess what we're going to do to both sides? Well, it's being divided by 4, so how do you undo division u? Opposite of division is multiplication, right? So you multiply both sides by 4. Very good. So when I do, did you all get x equals to negative 8?
Yeah.
Nobody put down 8, right? Because that'll be wrong. It's negative times positive, so you get negative 8. What about number 2? Who could help me how to do this one? Yeah, negative 3x equals to negative 9. Sydney, we called you. Brajan, what do I do?
Divide -3 by -3.
Yeah, because negative 3 is multiplying x. How do you undo multiplication? You divide by the same number,
9 by -3
which equal
3.
positive 3. Did you? How many people put down positive 3? Very good. Who haven't I called today? How about I called you. How about Owen? Tell me what to do on number 12. Number 3.
You
What's being done to x right now?
divide by 5.
No, it's being multiplied by the whole fraction, negative 4/5. So guess what you're going to do?
Divide.
Divided by negative 4/5. Is that right, guys? And of course, when you divide it like this, the same number they cancel out to be 1 because negative 4/5 goes into negative 4/5 once, right? So what do you end up getting on the right side? You just get x. This means 12 what? Divided by negative 4/5, and of course that becomes 12 times negative 5 over 4 equals to x. And really 12 is 12 over 1. Do you think we could cross cancel here, guys? Why? Because we are multiplying. Cross cancel. Remember, cross means multiply, of course. 4 goes into 12 how many times?
3.
What's the answer, class?
-15.
How many people got negative 15 as your answer? Raise your hand. Very good. Now, do you see, if you didn't, do you see why you didn't? Okay. Let's look at number 4 then. Okay, so what should we do on this one? Who haven't I called today? How about Natalia? Natalia, what do you do? Negative 6. What's being done to x right now? Being multiplied by what? 2 over 7. Guess what we have to do then? That's right. And of course, what's 2 over 7 over 2 over 7? 1, not 0, because if it was 0, you get 0, not 3. So you get, on the right side, you get x. What is negative 6 over 2, 7? It's negative 6, what? What's that mean? Divided by? Good. And so then, what does that mean? When you have, how do we divide a number? Negative 6 then times? Good, the reciprocal of that number, right? Equals to x. And negative 6 is really negative 6 over 1, isn't that right? Does 2 go into negative 6, Natalia? How many times? So I should write negative 3 or 3 here? Negative 3, because you're dividing negative 6 by positive 2. So what's the answer? How many people got negative 21 as your answer? How many people think that you could do this on your homework tonight? Okay? Sure, good. All right.